Go ahead, start off. Katie.
Okay. Yes. Welcome to tonight's live. Tonight is an AMA. Ask me anything about numbers, pricing your landscaping jobs, because how to price your work and what I should charge for XYZ. That is one of the most common questions that we get from landscapers.
Yes. We're trying to get live on Instagram too. Bear with us, everyone.
Oh, okay. Where do I need to look to see if there's any questions? Just go. Okay. So before we get started, while Scott is fussing around with Instagram, I just wanted to talk about some of the stages that we see landscapers typically go through when they are learning how to price their work. Because actually learning how to put together estimates and how to price your work, it's a progression. It's just like, you know how like when you first started landscaping, like if you look back at some of the jobs that you first did, if you look back at them now, you're like, ooh, oh man, I was just learning. The same thing should be happening with your estimating. You should not be doing the same things now that you were doing when you very, very, very first started, because we have yet to come across anybody who nails their estimating from the get-go. There could be somebody out there that exists, but we have not yet run into them. And what we see most often happening is people will start their landscaping business, and we get it. Landscaping is low barrier to entry. You get into it because you love landscaping. But one of the biggest problems we see around their pricing is literally when they start, they're just guessing. They're literally just making it up. And the problem with that is they're often underpricing their work, because a lot of times they're just doing the pricing based on like their gut feeling or what they think they should charge, or like what they kind of heard other people are charging. And this really just comes just from a lack of business knowledge. Like I said, most people start a landscaping business because they like to landscape. They know how to landscape. So it is a little bit of that lack of business knowledge is where this comes from. And we fault no one. We did the same exact things. That's we know these stages because we did them. And not only did we did them, we have since coached hundreds of people through them. And so that's how this goes. And it's a lack of business knowledge. Your estimates you're generally not, all the costs aren't in there. Overhead's not right. Labor's not right. But these landscapers they have a lot of fear around missing out on jobs. They don't want to overcharge because landscapers are great people. I never have met anybody who's like, I just really want to stick it to them and charge everything I can. We work with more people that are afraid to charge too much and will undercharge at their own detriment than we do that work with people that are like, I'm just going to charge them everything I can. And so that literally just doesn't exist in this business, which I think is great, but please don't undercharge at your own detriment.
Yes.
So this is just what, like I said, this is one of the things that we see happening a lot. And it's usually with landscapers that have just started out or have been in it for a few years.
Okay. We do have a question here.
Yeah, go ahead.
On Instagram here, Junior650. Appreciate you guys being here. It says, how do you deal with a customer that goes back and forth on estimates? Well, I guess to answer that, it's hard to directly answer that, but I guess it's making sure you have a clear definition of what the customer is asking for, what they want, and what their expectations are. Usually when they're going back and forth is because they're unclear of what they need to do or want to do. So you have to be, a lot of times you are the person that's directing the conversation when it comes to what you're going to do. In that conversation, you need to find out exactly if this is going to handle whatever their issue is or whatever they're trying to achieve in this project or whatever. So to me, it's sometimes, yes, there's some customers that are just kind of a pain in the butt. A lot of times if, for example, they say you're too high, well, okay, what can we cut out of this project then? If you give them a price for whatever it is, what do we need to remove to get it in your range? Or do we need to break it up and do different sections? So it's kind of hard to directly answer that. Let me, if you have a better example of something.
If there's a little bit more to it, let us know. Is it only the price that they are going back and forth on, or is it are they going back and forth because they're changing the scope of work? Yeah. That there can be a lot of different things. But one of the things one of the good things that happens as you get better at pricing your work, you have more confidence on going back and forth when customers are trying to play this little game with you. You know your pricing so well that if they're like, you're just a little high, can you knock off this? Can you knock off that? Then you will have down to the penny what you can and cannot charge for this job. And so you will have the confidence to go back and forth with them.
Yes.
Like I said, when landscapers are first starting out, it's just that guessing, and it just comes from lack of knowledge. It's just like learning how to landscape. You have to learn how to estimate. And so that's just one of the things that we see. And
because a lot of people that start a landscape business,
everything, but thank you.
Well, yeah. So again, a lot of landscapers, when they're starting off, they work for somebody else. And they just go start a job, or start this business, I should say.
Sure.
They left a job doing whatever task was, installing pavers, mowing, whatever it is. That realm of it. But when he starts to learning how to estimate, you don't have any knowledge on this. So you just kind of go off what the going rate or whatever else somebody tells you is. And that's something that's really going to hurt you.
Yeah, because eventually they get a better grasp on it. Like a lot of people know how to include their materials in their estimates. That is something that it's easy, it's tangible. They can see it. Mm-hmm. Materials are easy to understand. It's when you start getting into labor and overhead is where people start getting into what I call like guessing plus, is because they get an idea of, okay, well, I know I've got materials. I know I have labor. I know there's this thing of labor burden that like employees cost me more than I think because, there's like taxes and stuff. And I know there's overhead because that's like the things that it costs to run my business, but I'm not like real sure how to put them into my estimate. But I know I'm going to take whatever pricing I have and I'm going to start jacking it up. Mm-hmm. I'm going to charge more than I've been charging because they go through that phase of like I said, they're just kind of guessing. And then they start to realize that's not working. And they're like, oh, I need to charge more. So they dig into it a little more. So then they start guessing, but adding more to it. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah.
And that's okay because most people just don't know how to put together an estimate. We're kind of still at that learning phase. There's still just a lot of learning going on.
And that's too, I guess I'll add to it. That's where a lot of people at this level, they're doing like a markup. They'll just do like a 50% gross markup on everything and just hope that works.
Yeah, because that's a lot of what I call bad advice that's out there on Facebook, Instagram, or wherever you're asking your questions, insert wherever. Unfortunately, there is a lot of bad advice out there, which we can kind of show you some examples of that later if we don't have any more questions coming in.
So just real quick, just to kind of recap, what we're started talking about here is just kind of for people just hopping in here. We're talking about the different stages we see landscapers going through when they're learning how to price their work. So Katie's kind of going through different levels that we see them going at their
everybody starts somewhere, and it's kind of like your landscaping work. To sum it up really quick, it's when you look back at those first landscaping jobs you did, you might be a little bit like, that was something, and that's okay because you were just starting and you have to learn somewhere. You're estimating and learning your numbers and how to price your work is going to go through this same evolution. And by the time people get to the point to where they're like, I know I need to mark things up, and they do start just marking things up by these like random multipliers, it's good and bad. It's good because you're finally marking your work up and hopefully you're making more money. But the problem is a lot of people can get kind of stuck there for a while because they don't know what it takes to get to the next level of what I like to call like data-driven pricing. And that's where you and I live. Give me a spreadsheet, give me some numbers. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of times to make that leap, you need a mentor or you need somebody to show you how to do this. It's something that's very hard to do on your own. Yeah. There are systematic approaches you can take to estimating that you can use. But once again, it's just hard to do on your own because it takes time and effort to dig into numbers. Landscapers do not always feel like they have the time to do this. And unfortunately, it's like chasing your tail. It's like you don't have the time to do it, but you really need to do it. And it's the only thing that's going to solve your problems, but you don't have time to do it because you have too many problems and you're too busy working. Does this sound accurate?
Well, it's 100% true. We have people come into our program that have been doing this for 30 years and that's just what they do.
Unfortunately, those people, it takes them getting to the point where they're going to go out of the business or they're bankrupt. The biggest symptom that we see is people have worked all season and they don't have any money in the bank. They're like, my calendar, and this was us. The calendar was full. We have worked every day. We've worked 8 days a week, 12 hours a day. and we still don't have any money. So like we couldn't just work more, because a lot of common advice out there is to just work more, get more jobs, book more work. But eventually you cannot outwork bad estimates. You just can't do it. So I was just seeing if there was any other questions.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them in the comment section, and we'll go over them. This is what it's all about tonight, is just kind of answering questions you guys have about estimating anything in general. Let us know. That's what we're here.
Right.
What's up, Justin?
If not, we've got some examples that we can kind of walk you through to show you what people kind of go through, because like we said, people start out kind of guessing, and then they get to this, like, I'm guessing, but I'm adding a markup. And so do you want to kind of take it from there? Because we actually have a good example that I saw in one of the Facebook groups that I'm in, because I watch Facebook groups all the time to see what people are doing and what kind of questions they have. And I thought this would be a good learning opportunity. So I'll let you take it from there.
No, absolutely. So we see this question over and over in all these different Facebook groups. How much should I charge for this? What should I charge for this? And sometimes it's honestly hard to figure out, but we're going to pull up an example. Somebody posted in another group, and we're going to do our best guess on what sizes are, because they didn't put the sizes in here.
A lot of times they don't give enough data to give a good answer, but we can kind of extrapolate and interpolate. Those are words. Because, and I want to use this one as an example, because it was the classic in the comments. People were like, oh, I don't know, just, charge $35 an hour. People were like, oh, just take your materials and mark them up, multiply it by 2. Yeah. Somebody's like, that's not going to be enough. Multiply them by 3. And so we just wanted to show how, if you listen to this bad advice, or if you are still in the point where these are the things that you're doing, the good news is you can get to the next level where you are confident and you have your pricing down. So those on Instagram probably won't be able to see this real easy. Actually, let me see if I can move this around. So this is just a screenshot of what we took here. Sorry, let me flip the screen around. Give everybody a look.
So that was the project somebody posted in the Facebook group.
Looks like it was a homeowner special. People, looks like they probably installed their own patio squares, and it looks like it has sunk and settled. It's probably collecting water.
So so somebody posted this question. I'm going to guess this is probably just kind of looking at the sizes. It's roughly a 6x6 area here, and I'm assuming they just want to tear it all out, put new stuff in here. So what we're going to do, actually, I'll probably just give Katie the camera so she can show on our screen what we're using here. We're using one of our new tools that will allow you to do pricing really, really quick.
Okay. So, what am I showing your screen?
So we're going to show this screen over here.
I will try to hold it very still so no one gets sick.
We do apologize on Instagram. We're trying to figure out how to get this stream live. If you know how to stream live, reach out to me. I'd love to learn how to do this better.
We're making it up as we go along.
Well, the connection didn't work. So anyhow, I'm just going to guess that this project's roughly 6x6 that we had on the screen, and it's tearing out the existing patio. It's going to be replacing with the new patio. Pretty straightforward. So this is our landscaping price calculator here, and it allows you.
But are you first off going to show what most people do?
Sure. So that's a good point. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring out some materials of this job and just make up something here.
Because there was a lot of feedback in the comments to just take your materials and multiply them either by 2 or by 3. And so what we'd like to show here is how that can actually be pretty detrimental.
Yeah. So if you just did that, and we're saying again, it's 6x6, so 36 square feet. Our cost is $257.76. And I'm going to say, we're using just whatever 3/4 inch clean. It should be about 2 tons of stone. And I have a calculation that I can go through, but we're going to just go through these numbers here real quick for you guys. So we got our stone.
Because this is what most people are doing. Yes. They're like, okay, I can figure out the materials for this job. I understand how to do materials. This makes sense. Let me do this.
So I'm just putting in the materials, and we'll get a cost here, and we can kind of go from there. We're going to say it's just 1 pail of perma edge. So that's kind of pretty much it right there. We'll just say that's what we're going to have in there. Some people put fabric. I'm not going to get into all the details tonight, but just to kind of show you right here, if that's what you're using, we're going to add up the cost. And this example adds up to $446.08 for just the material.
The material.
That's what I'm going to write a check out for. That's what it's going to cost us, is $446.08 on this job. So if you took this job and you just did the quick math of taking the 446, and I'm pulling up my calculator here. And
Yeah, if you're just multiplying this by 2 or multiplying it by 3,
446
because that's what a lot of people say to do.
times 2, it'd be $892.16. So if that's what you're doing, that's what you're charging, you know, you might make money, you might not. And that's where a lot of people end up just kind of submitting a bid for it and
They're
hoping
winging it. Yeah.
Yep, and that's what they'll do. And again, you're just hoping and crossing your fingers as it's going to work. And it may work for a bit, it may not. But the way you should kind of do it is kind of go through. You have all, again, we're using the same materials. We need to think about equipment. Equipment's important. I need to drive out there. So, we have to figure out. And I'm just going to say we're going to take our F450 and, this project I'm going to say is going to take us 8 hours to do.
Yeah, we've had some more people hop on. And just for everybody who's just hopped on, we're just going through an estimate. We're showing the difference between taking the materials and multiplying by 2, which is very common bad advice that people get.
Yeah.
And now we're showing the difference between using an actual pricing calculator that is using proven estimating systems that actually give you your costs for what to charge for this job.
So I've already added my equipment in here. I'm just going to add a crew leader and just say one other person. So they have 2 guys, 2 crew members going out there. And I also need to consider, because now I have, I have the material, I have my labor, I have everything, my equipment on there for this particular job. Well, is there any travel time? Is that included in that 8 hours? Is it not included? Do I need to get something delivered? Do I need to go gather materials, marking paint? All these things are things you need to think about. Is there any delivery fees? If I have all this delivered, I'm going to say I have one delivery. So they're going to bring it out to us. It's $100, whatever it is. Oops. It's $100 to deliver it, we'll say. So now we start getting into our true numbers here, and you can start seeing a breakdown. Our materials is 43%, equipment, labor, all these costs are getting calculated up. So now I would come in here and I would charge $1,563.02. This is considering my overhead. This is considering everything that goes into, running this business.
Well, you can see, okay, if you were here when we did the just materials by 2, it was $800 and some dollars.
$892.
$892. So you can see on this job, just the cost to do this job is over $1,300.
Yes.
So this is one of those where you're all like, oh, yes, I got the job. I'm going to do it. This is going to be great. And it's like, well, no, because you didn't even make enough money to break even.
Yes.
So what if you took those materials times 3? What does that give you?
So our materials again was $446.08. You took it times 3. Now you're at $1,338.24.
So now you are still just barely over your break even.
Yep.
So these are the people that are like, score, I multiplied it by 3. I'm making money. Look at that. You're not making a lot of money. You actually need to be charging $1,563.
And that's to get a 15% net profit on this job.
Yes. We did get into all that, but with our calculator, you can go in and put how much net profit you want to make. 15% is good for this industry. Unfortunately, way too many people don't make anywhere near that. Too many people are making closer to the 4% net profit. And those are the people who are multiplying their materials by 3, charging $1,338 for a job that costs them, $1,328 to do.
So you're shorting yourself already.
Yeah. So this was just a quick run through. Should we turn it back to our faces? This was just a quick. There we go. This was just a quick run through, because the point of this was to get you all to see that the multiplier methods, when you're just multiplying by 2 or you're multiplying by 3, you're not getting good, accurate data based on your business. And these are the people that fall into that horrible trap of working all season, being like, I got the jobs, my calendar's full. Why don't I have any money? Yeah. So, because my favorite thing to say is data is more important than your feelings. And so it doesn't really matter how you feel about your pricing. It doesn't matter if you are confident as heck in that price. If it's not, if the data isn't there to support the numbers, it doesn't matter how confident you were in it, because You didn't make enough. And too many landscapers are willing to accept less than they're worth, because they do have so much fear around charging too much. And they just don't know how to get to that next level of pricing their work.
Yeah. So it's just very important. And the whole point of this tonight was just to kind of show you, like, you need to consider every aspect of that job. So like you saw when we use the tool that we have here, we considered not only the material, but we considered our employees, we considered all our equipment, we considered our overhead. And all this was kind of put in this already, but just to kind of show you tonight, you have to consider all this. Again, if you're not, you're missing out and you're losing out. And this is where we see so many landscapers fall short. And again, they work all season long. They look like they feel like they're making money on the jobs because they're not watching, or they are watching and they see like the gross profit. But at the end of the season, they don't have any money.
Yeah. And I just would like to tie it back to the earlier question we got of what do you do when a customer is trying to go back and forth with you? If they're trying to go back and forth with you on price, this is where if you are estimating based on numbers that are for your business and you're using a job calculator, you know how much you need to charge. So you know that, okay, I was doing a 15% net profit on that. It came out to this price. You know, maybe you really want that job. Maybe it's like your grandma's neighbor's best friend. And you're like, okay, fine. I could drop it down to 13% net profit. Let me see what I would come out at. It gives you some negotiating room if you want to negotiate, or if you don't want to, you can walk away confident knowing that you made a good decision.
Yes.
You can walk away knowing, no, I said no to a job that wasn't going to get me what I needed to make in order to make this job worth my time.
Yes.
You don't have those feelings of like, oh God, I don't know. Should I drop it? I don't know.
That's the problem, that people price a lot of times just based on their gut feeling.
And your guts lie. My guts lie all the time.
Yes,
so
and that's going to screw you. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you being on here. Mark Bradley of LMN hopped in here, so thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's my biggest thing. It's the data over the feelings, so you can make informed decisions.
Yes. So you guys have any questions about estimating at all, the tool or anything at all, things to think about? Just to kind of give you an example too this morning.
Scott's been estimating for over 20 years. So pick his brain.
Yeah,
it's all in there. Pick it out.
Make sure you're thinking about the whole project, everything that goes in that project. I was speaking to somebody earlier, and they just didn't think of the whole entire project, and they were missing
this
out.
was one of our private coaching clients, because
yes.
we do work. If you are having trouble with this, you can book a one-on-one call with Scott to help you work through an estimate, especially if it's something tough that you've never done before. Because like I said, he's been doing this for over 20 something years. Math. We were just married for 22 years, and we were doing it before then. He's been doing it since he was in middle school, but I regret that's not what this is about.
But the whole point is they were not looking at the entire project, everything that goes into it. Like even just something as simple as,
what was the project?
It was a installing a paver patio in the backyard and doing some other landscape around there. But
was there existing stuff there?
Yeah. So the biggest thing that I didn't see on the estimate was they have to get the material to the back. They didn't think about, okay, well, I'm going to drive a skidster over back and forth through this yard. If there's any yard protection, we're not going to get into that, but they didn't have any yard protection. They're just going to drive. I'm like, okay, well, you're going to tear up that person's yard. You have to repair that. Like, oh, I didn't think about that. I'm like, so that's additional cost. You got sod or seed or however you're going to repair it, dirt, everything. Those are the things that we see many landscapers just again missing out. So again,
this is just lack of experience, and this is why if you have something tough, it's good to walk through it with a mentor, somebody who has already made all of these mistakes, because Scott knows these things because he already made all of these mistakes.
Yeah. So again, guys, if you guys have any questions about landscaping this or anything in general,
this is
feel free to throw them in the comments section. That's what we're here for tonight. Again, my point, I guess, of going through that estimate or that estimate with that person earlier was, again, thinking about things, but having some kind of a tool like we have here allows you just to kind of go through and keep things organized. And okay, well, I need to think about my access. I need to think about cleanup after that, cleanup after the job's done, pallet fees or whatever it is that you have to charge. These are all additional charges. So again, just having some kind of systematic way, you can kind of go down the list, bam, bam, bam. I need this. Nope, I don't need this, but I need this. Having that laid out makes it so much easier as far as estimating, because I get it. We work all day on the field. We come back, we're tired. Having some kind of process to go through makes it so much easier. And knowing all your numbers are in there, you're going to price it correctly. So Let me know what is your biggest struggle when it comes to estimating. Is it understanding time, calculating materials, square foot? What is your biggest concern and troublesome with this? Let us know in the comments or the chat. We'd love to help you guys out. That's what this is all about here tonight, is to help you guys out and help you learn and grow and become better and more profitable. Again, going back to Katie's point, we work so hard. And to see you guys get to the end of the year, you're like, I don't have much money, that I didn't make as much. We don't want to see that. We want you to be happy. We want you to go take your family on vacation. We want you to go do whatever you want to do in your business. You want to invest more into equipment. You want to do that. You want to give employee raises. You have to make money. If you're not, you're just hurting yourself, your family, your business, your employees. So, and in the end, you're hurting your customers too, because you're shorting yourself and you can't go fix the job, or you don't have time to go fix the job because you got to make money over here, but you might have messed up over here, but you don't have time to go put it over there. So it can really hurt you if you're not thinking about it. So you guys have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments. Let us know. I'm just kind of walking through, make sure I didn't miss anything here, and make sure I didn't miss anything in the Facebook group. Anything else you wanted to add, Katie?
My biggest thing is we want you all to be able to go from that guesstimating and that kind of guesstimating plus. We want you all to know that pricing calculators exist, estimating systems exist. When you are, because a lot of people think that the solution is software. They're like, well, I need to get insert whatever software here, but it's so expensive and I can't afford it. Well, the good news is all those softwares are doing, they are using estimating systems that have been around in landscaping forever. They are not doing anything magical. These estimating systems exist and you can use them without software. I'm not saying software is bad. I'm just saying that you don't have to have it. If you are concerned that software is too expensive, you do not have to invest in software to go up to that next level of pricing. That's just like I said, I'm neutral on software. It's fine. But unfortunately, too many people have the misconception that they have to have it, number one, or two, that it's magically going to fix their problems of estimating, but it won't, because if you don't know your numbers and you put a bunch of garbage numbers into the software, then you're just going to get a bunch of garbage numbers out of the software. Yes. So it's a little bit of a catch there. Yeah. So there is a level of knowledge that has to exist no matter what you're using. Yeah. So.
Do we want to put that up, the price assessment?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Great.
So we can talk about that.
Sure. Okay. Sorry. Scott's going to throw, go ahead.
Yeah,
is that what I think it is?
Yep.
You talk.
So we put together, if you're not sure on your pricing, you're not sure if you are charging your customers what you need to charge, we have put together a price assessment tool that you can go through and figure out, and just basically answering some basic questions, you're going to figure out.
Sure. You can kind of audit yourself.
Yes.
Like, am I doing good? Am I doing okay? Am I? Because most people don't know what they don't know. Yeah. And I would say would you say that's a fair assessment of this is why landscapers get stuck in that guesstimating plus? Like they're doing a little bit better than just straight up guessing. They're using some kind of multiplier, this times 2, or I'm just going for 50% gross profit. I'm multiplying my materials by 3. I'm just trying to list off all the things that we hear people do. They get stuck there because they just don't know what they don't know. And that's fine, because nobody knows what they don't know until they know it. I don't know if those are words.
That's a lot of no's.
That's a lot of no's. But that's okay. So that's what this assessment can just kind of walk you through a little bit of how am I doing? Am I doing okay?
It's going to show you too a little bit of what you're missing out on by not charging what you need to charge. So go through that, take that assessment. For those on Instagram, it's milliondollarlandscaper.com/price assessment. I'll put in the show note or the comments here when I get off. But it's a great tool to go check out, and it's free. Go check it out and see if you're shorting yourself and again, shorting your family because you're not charging enough. So take that free assessment, check it out. If you guys have any questions on it, feel free to reach out to us, post in the Facebook group or whatever, or get in our Landscape Business Owners Facebook group and ask us questions. We'd love to help you guys out.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got a new question.
Do it.
Green Frog. Oh, said yay. Green Frog. Appreciate he's one of our sponsors for our podcast. Appreciate being on here. But yeah, so if you guys have any questions about landscaping estimates or anything in general, how to put together estimates, what, anything you're struggling with. That's
Yeah,
what
the
we're
more
here for.
details you can give us in the question, the better.
Yes. I'll throw this out there to kind of go along with Kitty's line. That image I showed you earlier of a Facebook group where somebody just posted what to charge. That is a terrible question to ask us in this Facebook group. Nobody can help you because we don't know the size. We don't know what you're doing. That was like a terrible question. Nothing against the person.
No,
we just
it's back to you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, we want to help you, but you need to give us a little more information. What's going on? How many people? What are you?
Well, but we're back to you're back to like what you said, when people aren't putting enough things into their estimates is because they don't know. Like that person probably didn't know what to ask.
Yes. So make sure you guys provide as much information on any of those questions and what to charge or how much should I charge for this in the Facebook group. But that's what we're doing all these videos on, is to help you guys become better estimators, because we see this question asked all the time over and over. How much should I charge? And I get it. That's what we're here for. So please hop in there, ask any questions you guys have about landscape estimates. That's what we're here for. But other than that, if there's no other questions, I don't see anything else popping up. Just a quick, again, glance at our estimating tool here. This is
for anybody who's still hanging on, if you want to hear about our pricing calculator, we can talk about it. Since there's no questions, we can go ahead. If you are not interested in hearing one word about our pricing calculator, that's fine. Have a fantastic evening. Thank you for joining us. But this is something that we sell through a coaching program, because like I mentioned earlier, it's really hard to figure this out on your own. So that's why we have this pricing calculator that comes with coaching with Scott on how to use it and implement it in your business. Because there is no point in having a spreadsheet that does all kinds of fancy calculations if you don't know what to put in it. Yes. So so this calculator does come with one-on-one coaching on how to actually implement it into your business.
Yes. Let me zoom in a little bit more so we can see a little bit further. But this tool makes it very, very quick and easy to go in and just basically click on the items you want to put in there. Say we had that patio, that 6x6 patio, but now they want to add a little bit more. They want to do a couple plants. So we'll say we need a little bit of topsoil. We'll say we need a yard of topsoil. Let's see, we're going to throw a couple plants in here. We have 3 black-eyed Susans. Actually, Katie, you want to share this on the screen?
Oh, yes. See, I got all wrapped up in it. I forgot that we have to.
Yeah, sorry, guys. Our video is not working very good. So
okay, so all Scott's doing here is on our calculator, there are drop-down lists, as you can see here, for the materials that go into jobs. And so he's just adding some topsoil and some plants to it.
And we'll just say 2 yards. So this tool already has information put in there. So it tells us now our new price is now $651.11. That's just your materials. This is what you're going to write a check for all your materials. We have the truck going out there for 8 hours, but let's say now we're at a day and a half. So we need to think about that. Was that day and a half going to include travel time, all this stuff? We need to think about this, but you can say it's 12 hours. I'm going to charge 12 hours for that truck. It's another 12 hours for this backpack. The blower and compactor is only going to be out there for the 1 day, but we're also going to have a trailer on there. So we're going to have a trailer that's going out there for 12 hours too. So you can see it pulls our cost per hour. This is honestly the best way to price your equipment. And we're going to add one more crew member on here. So we have the crew members in here, and we need to adjust this time because they're going to be out there for 12 hours there. 12 hours there, and we're just going to say this person is going to be out there for a third day for one day. So you can kind of see how quick and easy it was. So just our labor right there is $685. Our equipment's $170. Sorry, and our material is $651. So you can see it breaks down all the costs right here of everything. So you can see labor's 42%, materials 40%, equipment's 10%. So it has a nice quick breakdown on all the costs. And where this comes handy is when the customer asks you, can you give a breakdown? Well, we don't provide a breakdown, but I'll let you know.
I would never give anybody a breakdown of all their costs. Yeah. But what you can do them is give them percentages. You can be like, well, this job, 40% of that's just material.
Yeah. And then so you come down here, and this is where it's going to tell you what your final price is for this project. So if we have all our times in here, everything in here correct, we're showing that we want to make 15% net profit on this
Well,
job.
you can pick how much net profit you want to make. Like, I've not seen any other calculator out there where you can just be like, woohoo, I want to make 15%. Hey, slap it in there and see what it does to your pricing, because you can move that up and down. A good industry standard is 12. I would prefer you shot for 15. Unfortunately, we see too many people at like 4.
Well, yeah, that's the industry standard right now is 3 to 4%, which is
that's
terrible.
garbage. But we have people that are up at 20. So knowledge is power. Numbers are power.
So as you can see right now, this gives us our total of our materials, our labor, our equipment, and any additional costs, plus our overhead. So to do this job, it is costing you as the owner $2,233.55. We're going to add in our net profit, which is $394.16. So our total price of what we're going to charge a customer is $2,627.71. So,
and it has a little breakdown over here. And this is, once again, where you have those customers that are like, oh, gosh, you're a little high. You know, somebody else was a little lower. Now you actually know it's going to cost you that much to do the job.
Yeah, and
so you can make the decision as to how low or not low you want to go.
Yeah. And so, like, if I had a customer at this point tell me, you know, that's a little out of our price range. We need to be a little bit lower. Okay, well, we can just do the patio for right now, and I can come in here and I can take out, the plants. I'm going to go remove the plants, and
Scott's making a good point. Just changing your prices and just dropping your prices, that's not the only thing that you can do. Yep. You can change the scope of work. You can break this into 2 jobs so they don't have to do everything at once. They can take a little bit of it out.
And so I'm going back to the 8 hours, and I can just show this, customer. Okay, well, based on what we put in here, our price is down to $17.58. How does that sound? So simple as that, I've gone through, changed the price, changed the scope of work, and now we've lowered the price. So we just by simply removing the plant material. So it's very quick and easy to give a customer an answer right there, if that's what they need to do. Then they kind of go back and forth. You can add things in here. Well, can you add a little bit of plants, or can you get it graded? Whatever it is. Well, how much is for dirt and mulch? We can simply go and do that very, very quickly. That's the nice thing about this estimating tool. And this is the cool thing about doing this. For one, you're going to be confident in pricing. You're adding all your material, labor, equipment, overhead, all this stuff. But the cool thing is you can simply do this right when you're in front of the customer. When you're doing this right in front of the customer, you're going to get sales that much quicker because you're getting them pumped up. You're getting them excited about whatever project you're doing. And when you can do that, it makes it so much easier to sell that project right then and there. If you have to go back to the office, back to the shop to figure out what your prices are, I'm going to get back to you. I'll email you tomorrow.
Lose momentum on it.
Yes. When you can do this right in front of the customer, your sales are going to improve. You're going to, just improve your overall sales process by able to do this right there. This is something that we did. I used to have a computer set up in my truck. And if it was something big, I'd be like, give me a minute. I'm going to run back out to my truck and I could do it there. And once I started having this where I could do it right there in front of them, change a couple of numbers. Okay, here's our new total. How's this sound? Yeah, great. And once you're excited about it, okay, let's sign the line. How are we going to pay? It just makes it so much easier when you have this and you can do it right there in front of them. And so that's what the cool thing about this tool is. So if you guys have any questions about this tool, about estimating in general, that's what we're here for tonight. We love to help you guys out.
Yeah. For everybody who just joined, we're doing an Ask Me Anything tonight on pricing landscaping jobs. We just walked through a calculator that we coach people on using because we didn't have any questions. So we were talking about that for a while, but we can absolutely jump back to answering questions about pricing landscaping jobs if anybody's got any.
Yeah. So let us know if you guys have any questions.
Scott's been doing this for years. Pick his brain.
Well, it's one of those things. If you don't know, you're probably gonna make a mistake. So why not ask somebody that's been doing this?
You already made all the mistakes.
Yeah, and I'm still making mistakes, but you're gonna get better over time by asking somebody and getting mentors and stuff. This is something that helped us tremendously when I started learning to ask. I had my dad, so he was a great person to ask. But then when I started talking to other people, like, oh, I didn't think about this, or I need to think about that. So
sure. Well, because unfortunately, not to throw your dad under the bus, but he is that person who just kind of got stuck because your dad won't ask for help when it comes to the business end of things. His dad will ask for help when it comes to learn how to landscape or the next like cool piece of equipment you can buy. But he wouldn't ask for help when it came to the business side of things. So he is that owner that kind of got stuck in the I'm charging, I'm just adding, I'm marking it up, but I'm not really sure if it's enough. If I don't feel like I'm making enough money, I'm just going to mark it up a little higher and see what happens. And then that's when we joined in the business, and we didn't know better. We didn't know the questions to ask. We didn't really know better until we worked with coaches and mentors. And that's really when our eyes got open to like, holy crap, we're not charging enough. So so it's tough to figure out on your own.
Don't make that same mistake. Reach out, ask for help. That's what the whole community is about. So
so if anybody's got any questions on price and jobs,
let us know.
Shoot them out.
Just check and make sure. Okay, just wondering if it's better to. Is it better to?
I'll read it. He doesn't have his readers on. Just wondering, is it better a precise amount or an estimate rounded off?
To me, my thought is a exact amount, a precise amount is a better way to present a quote to somebody. To me, when I see somebody that quotes it up, the price here was $1,758.06. That is what I'm going to give the customer. When I see people round it up to like $1,800 or $1,760, to me that just it
gives off the guessing vibe. You're like, you're just making that up.
So when I present the price to the customer and it's this down to the penny, well, that's what it is. Because then when the customer says, well, can I get a discount? Well, again, that's up to you. But to me, I'm presenting you with the best price I can. This is why this price is listed down to the penny, because I know our numbers. We spent time going through this, and this is what we have to charge to do the quality of work that we're going to do.
Yeah, learning how to answer those questions is a skill in itself. Learning how to speak to customers when they present these questions.
Yeah. So my thoughts are, give a precise amount like we have here, rather than and jumping up. I know you're going to have people that are going to pay you the $1,759 or something like that. They don't want to give you down to the penny, and that's fine. But to me, I'm presenting the price down to the penny. I think to me, it looks a little more professional because it's a custom job. I always tell every person, this is a custom job.
Custom jobs.
They may not think of it might be the same thing that you do over and over. But this is a custom job.
Well, no two jobs are the same.
So to me, it just looks a little more professional, and that's just some experience of that, or some knowledge that I was given a long time ago as well. So great question though. Let's see. How do you price jobs on site when there are so many variables like size of yard, cost of materials, etc.? So a great question. And sometimes you can't do this, especially if you have to come back and do a design. But
can you put the phone?
Yep. Katie's arm's going to fall.
My arm's getting tired of holding it. I'm sorry. So we'll just put it in the holder. We got a holder. Okay.
Let me get you back up here. Sorry. So, that's a great question. So yes, there's always many different variables, but if you look at a lot of projects, we kind of do the same things over and over. So having something like an estimating spreadsheet like we have here that kind of lists things out allows you to kind of go through and check off like, yes, I'm doing this, and just entering. The way we did our estimates is, like everything is based on time, square footage and stuff like that.
But you did it like physically in your truck. He had a like a laptop computer in the truck with a little hooked up printer. Yeah.
So, I'm going to go out, I'm going to get measurements on everything. Or if I get a GIS study or not study, a GIS platform that tells me the square footage, or if I have a plot survey, then I can use that information to kind of put it in there. We used a tool called Pro Landscape too. I can throw the plot survey into Pro Landscape, trace it out. It tells me my square footage of the yard. If I have to figure out how much sod, hydroseed, or whatever that we're doing, that made it easier. But yeah, there's a lot of variables, but if you can have something kind of laid out, make sure you're asking all the right questions when you're out there. Like we had a hardscape checklist that we go through. So I'm looking at making sure there's I'm covering my drainage. I'm making sure there's no septic system, any other things are in the ground. So having all these things documented, that I'm asking all the right questions, I'm checking all the information, and then going down on my estimating spreadsheet, I'm able to cover everything really quick.
Well, he says specifically, like the variables are size of the yard, which Scott mentioned. You can either have your little wheel and measure it out while you're there. Use GIS, use Google Earth, use whatever the different softwares.
The Mosier measuring tool, that's a great device that kind of tells you, because you can figure up, and it's going to tell you right then and there what the square footage is.
Yeah, I wanted to hit the specific things he was asking
the
about.
cost of materials.
The cost of materials, because the good thing about having things in a pricing calculator like we have is those materials are already in the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing something weird that's like way outside of the scope of things you would normally do.
Well,
things that you do all the time are going to be in there already.
Yeah. So again, it kind of goes back to what we have. So like in our spreadsheet here, the tool we have here, we have a drop down box that I've already preloaded a lot of information in there. I know my cost for the rock. I know my cost for the pavers. But to give you an example, I've done a lot of water features. So sometimes those water features are a custom design. They're odd size. They're not like a kit format. I have to kind of think about all these things and all the materials that goes into it. So in that case, it might be something, I'm going to have to go back, draw something up, and get back to you tomorrow. So there's not always a case I'm able to give a price right then and there. But if I could do it right then and there, that's going to sell my job.
For like your normal everyday run of the mill things you do all the time.
But, there are variables where I had to go back and do calculations on stone. Like if they wanted something,
fancy schmancy
stone,
that you don't always have in your,
there might be times I have to go back, but great question. But if you can, again, have all this cost, everything in a spreadsheet, that kind of allows you to kind of go bam, bam, bam,
ready.
click it. Yes, I need 5 of these, 10 of these, 10 ton of this, whatever it is, makes it so much easier. Great question on Green Roots. Appreciate being here. Guys, have any questions about estimating? These are some great questions. This is what we're here for.
Keep them coming.
Yeah, bring them on. This is fun to me. I love doing this kind of stuff. We love helping people, and we want you guys to succeed and have a healthy business, and it just makes a huge difference. This is why we are going to die on this hill of getting people to understand their numbers and how to price our work, because it makes a huge difference. It's helped us. It's helped hundreds of landscapers we worked with.
Yep.
We just had a person just went through our estimating program here. They just gave us a review today, or actually yesterday, and they're able now to understand they were shorting themselves on equipment because they didn't know all their equipment cost.
That is one of the biggest things that people are surprised about, is the price or the amount that equipment costs them every year to run.
Yes. Yeah. And it's more than just the payment for whatever you're paying for it. If you're making payments on it, you have maintenance, you have tires, tracks, the hoses and everything that goes into it, tire wraps, truck wraps, toolboxes, all those things cost money. So again, he was able to do this, able to price his work now. He's getting work because he's getting work, and he's also pricing where he needs to be. We had another person just went through a program too. Before that, he made a comment. He's now out of debt because he's able to do that. So
here, do you process your work based on hourly rate, or do you charge for scope of work?
Yeah. So we don't do an hourly rate most of the time. I'd say 99% of the time we do not. Most of the time it is based on whatever the time it takes for this particular project, multiply whatever the materials is. We're adding our overhead onto that, and then our profits onto that, our net profit onto that. So we don't really ever go in there knowing that's not. I do have an idea in the back of my head. So when I'm talking to them, that I'm kind of saying, we're $100 an hour or whatever it is. I'm kind of looking at that, but that's just for my kind of a self check to make sure we're on track where we need to be. But most of the stuff is whatever our materials are. I'm adding that plus the labor for that material, our overhead. And then I'm adding my profit on it, and that's going to be the price I'm going to give the customer.
All of that goes into
plus equipment and all that stuff. But that's all what I think of. But I never really ever give a price of it's 8 hours at $50 an hour, $100 an hour, or whatever it is. I'm never really ever doing that. Great question, guys. Let us know. So tonight, guys, we're answering any questions you guys have about estimating, specifically for landscaping. That was my realm. But we've kind of gone through a bunch of different questions. We showed you some of the wrong ways of going about estimating, where landscapers will go in and multiplying.
If you've just joined earlier we were talking about the people, because this rampant bad advice of just taking your materials and multiplying by 2, taking your materials and multiply it by 3. I literally saw it in a Facebook group like 2 days ago. Somebody was asking an honest to goodness question, and way too many people were like, just, take your materials and multiply it by 2. Luckily, there was somebody in the comments that was like, whoa, no, if you do that, you are going to severely underprice yourself. Yes. Please do not do that. So we walked through that earlier, and we showed that even from the example we did, because we used the picture from the Facebook group, even multiplying the materials by 3, it was enough to cover the break-even cost of the job, but it wasn't enough to make a profit to like live on. And this is unfortunately what happens to way too many people. All of those landscapers that are like, I'm taking my materials and, I'm multiplying by 3 and I feel like I'm charging a fair price. I don't feel like I'm charging too much. I feel like I'm doing all right, but I don't have any money. My bills aren't paid. Money's tight. Groceries are $5 bajillion and I can't pay them. My wife needs a new car, but I don't have money to get one. Unfortunately, that is why. It's because if you are not using your own specific numbers for your business to do your estimating, like I always say, data is more important than your feelings. And so if you're not basing your estimating on data and you're just basing it on feelings, then you're probably messing it up. And that's what's going on. And that's why you're having the problems that you're having. No fault of yours. I get it. It's hard. We did it ourselves, did it for years.
Well, the thing too is that when we're pricing our work, we need to be pricing our work because this isn't a charity. We're doing this as a business. We are.
You all need to be pricing your
work to make money on every single job. I'm not saying you're going in there and charging them crazy amounts. You're charging them a fair amount.
Yeah.
Based on what you need to charge to run your business.
Well, I mentioned this earlier too. We've worked with hundreds of landscapers and we have yet to meet any landscaper that is like, I'm just going to charge them as much as I can. Every single person we work with wants to charge a fair price that is a fair price for their customers and is a fair price to yourself, where you're going to make a good amount. You're going to make what you need to make to run your business and live your life while still charging a fair price to your customer. And that's where knowing your numbers, knowledge is power. That's where you can get in there and be like, okay, industry, a good industry standard is 12% net profit. I can bump that up to 15 and I'll be doing all right. And unfortunately, most people are doing 4. But when you have the knowledge that goes with these numbers by using a calculator, you can make these good decisions. You're not screwing your customers. You're just charging what you're worth.
So Salty Air Lawn Care, appreciate you being here. You ask, do you price based on all in one service or do you a la carte? I do 12-month service, no off months. So great question. To me, it kind of varies, and I've played with this pricing structure, but typically I'm going, just to give you an example, if I did a 11 by 16 pond, I'm going to install this pond. I will have options after I give them that price for that pond install. I'm going to have options on there for upgraded or upgraded landscape lights, more waterfall lights, or whatever it is. I'm going to give them a price for a maintenance package. I'm going to give them a price for, different stone or something like that. I'm going to give them different options on that. But I
so
like
you
to
have like a base price of like, here's your basic, what you can get. And then you give them options of things to add on. Is that what you're saying? So
you can do like the a la carte, like he's saying, you can add on a few other things that they want. And that to me is a nice option for people.
I like that because it gives people things they might not have thought of.
Yes.
Just sorry, not to interrupt, but it's I don't know if he said what kind of jobs. If it's
I do
just
maintenance and chemical, no install. Okay, so he just said that. Okay.
Oh, okay. So if you're just doing maintenance, well, there might be maintenance things that you can do, especially if you're doing chemical that people don't even know about.
Yeah. So like if mid-season treatments, or I'm not sure if you do any pesticides treatment, but having those options is a good thing
you
too.
Be like, here's your basic mow, trim, whatever. Yeah. Oh, but if you'd like this, then you can add it on. So then they can make that choice. They can decide if they want to add it to that base or not.
Yeah. So, and then there's other options too that you can play with. And to me, these are things that you want to play with and find out what your client base is, because it honestly depends on your client base. So the other option you could do, we're working with a client right now. They are creating, and they have unique names for them, but they have a premium,
like packages.
Different packages.
Their pricing packages have fancy names because they are in a higher end area.
So they just have gold, silver, and bronze packages. So this one has this has this, and breakdown, and that gives them those options too. So and they're actually having really good luck with it. So it's kind of one of those things you want to test with, and we do that too. We'll present things, well, that didn't work, I'm going to try this next time. But again, you have to be able to price your work correctly. Mm-hmm. SRJ Lawn and Landscaping says, do you guys upcharge a certain percentage on material, or do you just you get material for it? I never. So there's always going to be some kind of cost increase to the material, and that's going to be, there's a bunch of different ways to estimate, but I'm never just charging that customer for whatever that material price is. There's going to be some kind of charge because I have my overhead. I have to think about all these things. And one of my favorite estimating systems is called a overhead recovery estimating system. I'm a huge fan of the MORS, the multiple overhead recovery estimating system. So basically, we have our material price. Whatever you pay for this material, it's getting marked up a certain percentage based on a formula that we go through. On your overhead, we're adding that to that material. So now our material is upcharged just to cover some of the materials. So there's a long explanation to it, but I'm never just giving the customer price for this. I'm never giving the price of material in times 2 or 3, because we did that example earlier where we showed you that we did it by 2, by 3, and you're losing money. Again, it's all based on what your overhead costs are and all those things. So
you've got to use one of the estimating systems, one of the overhead recovery systems that exist. And those are this is where you need to work with a coach. You need to work with a mentor. You need to work with somebody to teach you how to do this, because it gets complicated and it gets hard real quick. And we've tried, we do talk about it on lives, and we're happy to talk about it. But the problem is it's hard to talk about without overwhelming you with a whole bunch of information. Because we have done that, because we're like, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. And everybody's like, oh, what? Oh, what did you just say? So I think the best answer, like Scott said, is yes, there's always going to be a markup on it. What that markup needs to be, this is where you need to work with somebody to help you get this figured out. Because it can be done. And this is why, if you weren't on the live earlier, we were showing our landscape pricing calculator that we have. We sell that with a coaching package where you work with Scott to get this figured out, because every business is different. We tried just selling the pricing calculator on its own, but the problem was people don't know how to use it. So that it really needs, you really have to have somebody to walk you through it to show you how to use it. Because this is important. This is the lifeblood of your business. If your estimates aren't making money, you ain't making money. And so it's that important that we're willing to put in one-on-one time coaching and working with people to help you get it figured out. So
Franklin Salto says, is only grass cutting for the whole year based on the per year, maybe just a young adult with no family? Wondering, sorry. Trying to make sure I understand your question here, Franklin. I'm assuming if you're asking, correct me if I'm wrong, that you're asking if I give a customer a price for the full year or like a monthly price. I just want to make sure I clarify.
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Is only grass cutting for the whole year based on the per year, maybe just for a young adult with no family?
Sorry, if you can rephrase that question.
If you can add a little bit more detail.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know if this is what you're asking or not, but the gist of it is you kind of have a base price for very base things. Like maybe it is just grass cutting and trimming. And then the a la carte things that you add on are more like, what would you like some shrubs done? Would you like some treatments done? Would you like all the additional things that you do? I don't know if that's what the question was. But
yeah. So let us know if we didn't understand your question all the way.
How do you get coaching? This is amazing because, sorry, I got all excited. Well, because we have our landscaping price calculator. Scott can throw the link in because we're actually taking on a group of people right now where not only where you get to work with Scott one-on-one, in October, we're going to do a little cohort. So when you sign up now in the next couple weeks, not only do you get the one-on-one sessions and email coaching, and that's all listed on our website that comes with it, you'll also get some bonus calls where we're going to do a little bit of group coaching with folks. And so if you want more information about that, go to milliondollarlandscaper.com
LPC landscape price calculator is what it stands for.
Yeah.
So
Scott can put it in places and things. Yeah.
Yeah, but go check it out if you're interested, or if you want additional one-on-one coaching, let me know. We have that too.
You can always email Scott at milliondollarlandscaper.com to go through all of the things that we offer. Yeah. But it really, gosh, it's just really worth it. I feel it just really is, because it's hard to do on your own. It really is.
Wondering if an entrepreneur was just cutting, Franklin said, wondering if an entrepreneur was just cutting for the whole year because the per year is not too high. Maybe it's only for young adults with no families. So, I mean, the thing is you have to be pricing your work what you need to be charging for it. So no matter if it's a family of 4 or if it's a young family or whatever it is, or a young male with no family or whatever it is, that's you're pricing your work based on what that job entails, not what their family circumstance is. But to me, like I'm more of a fan of giving somebody the price per month rather than like the full year. And that way they can pay monthly. So like, I guess too, if, you work 12 months of the year and,
it's the question, who has the family? I don't know if the client has the family or if the person performing the work has the family. That is where I'm not sure. Because your price is going to be what it's going to be based on your numbers for your business. It doesn't matter if the customer has a family or not. But if you're asking, like, if you're just like a young person who's like mowing lawns after your day job, then you might not have to have the 15% net profit. You might be able to get by 10 or 12. Once again, that's up to you.
I wouldn't even say that. To me, because your business is based on your overhead costs. So if you're just a single person, you only have to make.
But they can adjust their net profit based on, like, we would have a 15% or more because we have a lot of experience. We're raising a family. I have dogs to feed.
I see what you're saying. Yes.
But if you're just like a younger adult who's doing this on the side after, and I'm not saying these aren't the low, everybody gets mad at like the low ballers that come in. Don't be that guy. Yeah. But you might be able to be the guy who can come in and do it for a 12% net profit as opposed to somebody who's going to do it for a 15. Yeah. That is just capitalism and competition, and that does exist.
And to me,
that's why I didn't understand who had the kids, the client or the person doing the job. Because if you're just the person doing the job, still please estimate based on the numbers for your business. Do not short yourself. But this is where with our pricing calculator, you can put in how much net profit you want to make. So you can choose. You can be like, I'm cool with just doing 12. Like, this is just like my beer and gas money. And that's fine. Yeah. Where other people are like, like I said, I've got lots of dogs to feed. And so, and we have 20 some plus years of experience in, so our prices are probably going to be higher.
Yeah. So yeah, if that's what you meant by that, Franklin, let us know. But yeah, you still need to know your numbers. If you're a solo person, you have 50 people, you have to understand your numbers.
Everybody's got to
price your base on what it costs to run your business, what it costs to personally own the company. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So like
that's okay. Cause we got there eventually. Yep. It's okay. And this is where more information's the better. Cause you can ask Scott. I misunderstand things all the time, but okay. But we got there. We got there. So yes, I would go off your business's numbers and adjust that net profit.
It doesn't matter if you're a single entrepreneur, or you have 50 employees, you have to have all your numbers down, because what you pay for insurance is different than another guy. What you pay for your equipment is different than another person. What you pay for anything could be different. So you have to understand your numbers, what your overhead costs. Now, your overhead costs are probably going to be low. You're not going to have very much. You may not even have a bookkeeper. You might be doing that all yourself. So you have to understand all your numbers, and that's what your pricing should be based on.
And this is why we have the coaching packages where you work with Scott. Because see, once again, we're listing off a lot of things. We're like overhead, bookkeepers, and you're like, I don't even know how to put that in my pricing. What are you talking about?
Yes.
This is why you work through it with Scott. If you just hopped on, we sell this at a coaching package, and we're actually in October. We're going to be adding some group coaching onto it too. So if you sign up in the next month, you'll get some bonus coaching in there too. We just really want to make sure everybody, because it's not too late to adjust for 2024 and figure out how to get yourself set up for 2025.
Yeah.
So
don't be afraid to raise your prices. And most of the time you go through our program, I actually say every person who's gone through our program has had to raise their prices. Yes, they're scared about it because they don't want to lose customers, or they don't want to scare customers away. And I totally understand that. But if you aren't charging your customers what you need to charge based on your business's numbers, you're just guessing, and you're probably not going to stay in business very long. This is why we started our $1 Million Landscaper business, is because we saw so many landscapers just in our area here in Northwest Indiana come and go because they don't know their numbers. And it's never because they don't have enough work. It's because they don't understand their numbers, and they're just shorting themselves, and they just get tired of it.
And landscapers are good people. Yeah. Like we said, we've not worked with one landscaper that wants to just stick it to their customers. Nobody wants to do that. Everybody wants to charge a fair price. and make good money.
Yes.
That's okay. That's
Yes.
fair. That's why you own a business. It's very stressful owning your own business. You
Yes.
should make a good living doing it.
Yes.
So
You can do this. So
yes.
If you guys have any questions tonight, we're answering any questions about
Ask us
estimating.
anything. Pick his brain.
That's what we're here for. So feel free to post them in the comments in the chat section. And make sure I didn't miss anything in Facebook. Should be pulling up here, but let me double check.
While Scott's double checking, once again, earlier in the live, we talked about the phases that landscapers go through when it does come to pricing their work, because it's often very similar to your actual physical landscaping. If you look back at the landscaping jobs that you did, like the very first ones you did, you might be a little embarrassed. You're like, ooh, that was a little something, but that's okay because you were just learning. Your pricing is going to be the same. Too many landscapers, not too many, all of them start out just kind of guessing. We did too. Ain't no shame in that game. And then eventually they kind of move on to where they're like, okay, I know my materials and I know I've got labor and I know I got to mark this stuff up. But then this is where a lot of disinformation comes in. This is where people throw out weird information like take your materials times 2 and that's good enough. And this is where things can get weird. And this is, but we want everybody to get to the level where they are estimating and pricing their jobs based on data and numbers for their own business. That is the power up, level up that we want you to make. I think of like a little video game, like the little Mario guy just jumping, doing better. Okay, sorry, I'm not much of a gamer. That was probably a bad reference. But anyway, we do have coaching packages available where you can use the pricing calculators, the exact ones that we've used in our business. We have them, and Scott works with you one-on-one to show you how to use them. Because if we have thrown out a bunch of terms that you're like, I don't even know what you're talking about, overhead recovery who, labor burden where, we don't want to just give people a spreadsheet with them not knowing how to use it, because that is useless. You've got to know what to put in it, because if you put garbage in it, then you're going to get garbage out of it. But we want you to put amazing things into it so you get amazing things out of it.
Well, the thing too, just to be aware, there are a lot of tools out there, we'll say, that promise to be able to price your work appropriately. That's not always the case. So make sure you do your due diligence and make sure it is going to be able to accurately charge what you need to charge. So this tool
You're
here. You're
being so mysterious.
Well, there's people out there. There's other companies out there that are not. I'm not calling anybody out. It might help you improve your pricing, but if it's not charging what you need to charge based on all of your numbers, everything that goes into it.
If it seems too easy, if the calculator they give you seems too easy, it's probably not good enough, because we make it as easy as possible, but yet it does still have to come with one-on-one coaching, because we did for a while offer this without it, and the people needed the help.
Yes.
It's because it's just some things you just have to learn from somebody, because it gets a little sticky, and that's okay. Ain't no shame in that game.
But this new calculator we have makes it super easy. We've gone through step by step on this. So if you guys have any questions about estimating in general, you want to see our landscape pricing calculator, again, just let us know. You can always head over to millionDollarLandscaper.com/LPC and check it out, and find out, if it could be a good fit for you. We're always willing to, have a call with you. If you want to kind of get a more behind the scenes tour of it, let us know. We're always here for that. But if there's no other questions, I think we're going to call it a night here. We're getting ready. We're going to go on our trip here. We're taking a trip for just Katie and I for the first, well, not the first time. It's only a couple of times we've taken a trip.
We do not often travel without children. We have big kids now, though. One's graduated and the other one's a senior in high school. So our anniversary was last weekend. So we're actually going camping with another couple whose anniversary is this weekend. So anniversary camping for the old folks.
Have to go get everything ready. But if you guys have any questions about estimating in general, feel free to pop in there. Let us know before we hop off.
If any last minute questions, or if you're interested in our pricing calculator and working with Scott, it's milliondollarlandscaper.com/LPC is where you can go to learn more about that. If you're watching the replay of this, that we ran through that a little bit earlier.
Feel free to. I'll put it in the comment section too, so everybody can see it. But it's a great tool to let you guys know about. One last thing we'll leave you with: we do have our fall marketing bundle out now. For fall cleanup.
The door's open and mosquitoes are coming in.
Yes. We do have our fall marketing bundle, which includes some
Well,
door
if you want to
hangers.
get your calendar booked for fall, if you've still got openings and you do fall cleanups, we do offer done for you marketing products for landscapers. Not everybody might not know that we offer these because we have a landscape marketing club where we help with social media and email marketing and all that kind of stuff. But just FYI, like Scott held up, where can they go to get these? If you want to book yourself solid for fall, I'm not very good at doing camera things. It's a postcard. There's a door hanger. There's social media posts. There's more things.
There's
brain
sales
farting.
emails. There's
Yes.
Door hangers, postcards. We've multiple. There's a couple different types of postcards in there. I actually just even added EDM postcard in there.
Yes.
As well. So go check that out. It's millionairelandscaper.com/fall bundle. And you can grab that there.
Yeah. So if your schedule has still got openings and you're like, I want to fill this with fall cleanups, fall work, get the marketing bundle and all the marketing materials are done. Oh, there's a Facebook ad in there too. I knew there was something else we were forgetting. So that's all in there. So you can just start marketing the heck out of your fall cleanup services and get your calendar all filled up.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight. If you have any other questions about estimating, we do have another class coming up.
The 20. I always say the wrong date. I said it wrong multiple times because I kept saying it was the 26th and it was not the 26th. 24th?
26th.
Oh, I was
right.
Okay. That one was right. Okay.
26 at 6 p.m. We're going to continue talking about and allow you guys to hop in here, ask any questions about estimating in general. You know, this is what it's all about, is to help you guys, to help you become better, to become more profitable, to provide better for your family, for yourself, for your business, your customers, your employees, everybody.
Yeah.
And
Numbers.
You have to understand your numbers, guys. We cannot say it enough. So if you have any questions about any of this stuff, not sure, something you want a clarification, feel free to either put in the comments. You can always email me at Scott, SCOTT, at millionairelandscaper.com. We're always here. I'm always available to answer questions. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. We're going to get our camper packed up and we're ready to go. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great week.